All right, everybody, welcome to our meeting on ABAP on HANA session today. Good morning to all of you and good evening to India. Let's start our session. In the last episode of our class, we have completed our chapter on information modeling inside of SAP HANA. In today's class, we will start and look at introduction of SQL scripting inside of SAP HANA. What is the need of SQL scripting? What is exactly SQL script is all about? Let's get started and discuss about that in detail. So why we need SQL script? So to understand the need of SQL script, we need to first understand the disadvantage of using the views. So what is the disadvantage of using our views? So let's talk about that first of all. What is the disadvantage of using SAP HANA views? The very first disadvantage is we cannot debug the view, guys. It's not possible to debug the views inside of SAP HANA. In fact, in none of the place you can't debug the code. It's not a code, it's just a declaration. It's just association between multiple entities. There's no way you can debug. There's no way you can debug the calculation of the things which are getting performed inside of a view. If there is a complex requirement, the decomposition of the solution is not possible. Okay, it's not possible to decompose as in breaking it down into pieces. That's not possible. You can't decompose the solution in small reusable piece of unit. For example, I want to do tax calculation, and to do that tax calculation you can't decompose just the calculation part of it into a separate module and reuse that module again and again. That's not possible. You got to inbuilt write the calculated columns inside of a view yourself to do that. There is no reuse here in this case. Okay, so there is no possibility to do a decomposition of your business logic, what you probably wanted to be done in a separate module. There is no possibility to also express the control flow or orchestration logic inside of views. So there is no possibility to write any control flow logic. Okay, it's not possible to write any control flow or orchestration logic inside of a view. Example, if else condition, for looping, all that is not at all possible, guys, when it comes to your HANA views. Yeah. Now moving to the next disadvantage, SQL queries are always return one result. However, if you also talk about disadvantage of SQL queries, sometimes you can feel that I can write things inside of an SQL query which is equivalent to writing a view, because a view which you create is ultimately boils down to SQL query to DB. So what is the disadvantage of using SQL query also in this case then? The SQL queries always return one result, guys. Okay, always return one result. Chaining of test results or chaining of these results are not possible, or possible to some extent. Okay, that's what chaining is all about. It's too possible to some extent. For example, I take output of a query and give it to input another query. You can say, Anubhav, I can use subquery, absolutely, but how many subqueries you can nest? Maybe 20. Yeah, that's the maximum you can add inside of a subquery. What about you got to write a pretty big use case, and then it's difficult to handle it with subqueries as well. And what if you want to do some conversion of the data type or data before you give the output to the input of another query, and that then this logic of subquery becomes so complex to handle. Also, it's not possible to write or handle any imperative logic. Okay, that's not possible, guys. For example, if I want to do any complex looping, sorting, searching, etc., all that is not possible. Okay, these are all things not possible at all with the concept of the views as well as the SQL queries. So solution of all when there is a problem, there is a solution, and the solution here of all these problems is SQL script. Now, why it is called SQL script? What is SQL script is all about? The very first point we need to understand what is SQL script. In interview, if somebody asks you, what is SQL script? What should be your answer? Remember, our goal is not just to learn things, but learn in a way that we can make the answers very precise and concise to the interviewer. When they ask you some question, your answer should be so up to the date, so up to the point that the guy gets flattened with your answer. Okay, so the very simple, very good, Satish. It's an extension to SQL. SQL script is an extension, it's an advancement of SQL. It's not a completely different paradigm, it's an advanced SQL. Okay, it's an extension to SQL. So SQL script is a collection of extensions to SQL. Okay, it's a collection of extensions to SQL. What is that SQL has? It's DML, DDL, DQL, and DCL. These are all the main SQL statements you have. SQL script is more advanced to it actually. So what is the purpose? The purpose is to give procedural capabilities to SQL. What was the disadvantage of a view? That's what we want to cater now with it. It allows developers to write performance intensive logics at database level. That's a major advantage of using SQL. So it allows developers to write data intensive logic inside of core DB. That's the advantage of SQL. So anything processed by SQL script, you can trust and ensure that it's fast because it sits very very close to DB. Okay. Now this is one of the technique to achieve code to data paradigm. Okay, that's what we will be doing. Okay, guys. Now, what are all the different ways of achieving that? We will be discussing that in today's and next class. It's a great advantage of using SQL script. A lot of concepts evolves around SQL script. The very first thing which now you will ask me, Anubhav, where can I find a good guide about it? Okay, if you want to find a good guide about SQL script, the best way to do that is directly on SAP HANA platform. So just to go to SAP HANA platform. So just let me just open that up. So just go to help.sap.com/HANA_platform. That's the link you should go. In fact, almost every single guide what you need, the up-to-date latest guide about SAP HANA is freely available on this website. Many times student comes me and ask, Anubhav, can you give me material? Guys, if I give you material, that will get outdated in some time. Every time SAP release a new support pack or a new release, you are always then referring to a old material. You should come out of that monolithic way of reading through those PPTs, reading through those PDF documents, and look at what's new. Okay, many blogs I've read where people are saying it's not possible to insert record in table type in SQL script, but it is possible now with latest version of SAP HANA SP12. It's possible to insert record in table types in SAP HANA. Okay, so these things you will get outdated, guys, if you're referring to a PDF shared by a trainer about 2 years back or 1 year back, or even in today's world, it's a cloud world. Every three months, every quarter, you have a new release. So be very, very skeptical about the material. Always refer the latest material, and you see complete set of guides are available. HANA administration guide, troubleshooting guide, tenant database, HANA cockpit, and you see here the one which I'm talking about, SAP HANA SQL script reference guide. This is the one. You can see SQL system variable, system view guide. Yeah, similar to that, every single guide is available over here for your reference. This is one single single source of truth for every single thing, complete set of guides. Similarly for ABAP, many people come and ask me, would you give CDS material? Guys, if I give you something, it may have a chance of getting outdated. So I don't know if how many of you are interested to read through outdated material, whereas SAP is already providing you up to date material on daily basis, or basically on every quarter or release or support pack basis. Similarly, if you go to ABAP, so you can search for help.sap.com, and I can say ABAP CDS reference, press enter, and you see the first link itself is ABAP NetWeaver 7.5 CDS reference guide. So always search for help.sap.com. Searching on Google is itself a magic, itself a learning, guys. गूगल सर्च करना भी अपने आप में एक कला है सर. ओके, अगर सर्च ढंग से नहीं करोगे तो कभी रिजल्ट अच्छा नहीं मिलेगा. So Google search itself is a tactic. Very few people understand the Google search. Very few people really make power of Google search work. So searching itself is important. Don't refer to material on third party website which would mislead you, misguide you. Always refer to the latest material on internet. And there you go. You can see the complete ABAP CDS guide over here. Complete ABAP CDS guide. You see, everything up to date. CDS graphical editor recently SAP launched, where you can come develop your CDS view graphically. You don't have to write any CDS code at all. Yeah, CDS graphical editor. See, all these things are latest into the market. Okay, now don't ask me would you get HA 400 or HA 410. I don't know about that. That's more like, your certification relevant books. I'm not sure about it, but whatever is relevant for you to learning, that is something you will get. You can download this to a PDF document. Yes, very much possible. And you can also switch here to the versions. So I want to refer to the latest guide, let's say SP11. Then I can go to SPS 11, NetWeaver's SPS 11. It'll switch to latest CDS view guide. And now you can also do a print over here directly. You can share this, and it's also possible to download. Okay, you can also go back and say help.sap.com ABAP CDS PDF. Just do this Google search, and there you go. You can see the very first link. Always search for help.sap.com. Okay, always search for that. You're gonna get latest material. You can take a print of it to PDF. You all know that how to take a print to PDF. It's an inbuilt feature of browser. Just can take a print to PDF. Okay, always you can do that, guys. Very, very helpful. These are all the guides. Never ask a trainer to give you material. And you see there's a PDF guide as well at below. PDF, you see the PDF is written before it. If I click on this, it directly launch a PDF. कितना material चाहिए ले लो. 5,000 का पेजेस का बुक है यहाँ पे. कितना पढ़ोगे? Okay, so remember, you should also do a balance between how much you should learn and what is relevant for you. If you ask me honestly, I've gone through this book once, but I hardly remember, you know more than like 30%. Hardly remember. When the approach, when the requirement comes up, that time you probably got to go back and want to look into it and see what is more you can do. Yeah, but as long as that is not done, then something not relevant. Okay, kitna material loge. So whatever I am teaching in the course, whatever I'm covering in the video, if you can practice this much, it's more than enough for as an app on HANA developer. More to it, it's endless. It's an endless cycle of learning for anybody in this world. This complete book itself, if you look, 300 pages book only on CDS, only on ABAP CDS. You see, this is actually SAP HANA core CDS. This is HANA CDS concept here. Complete HANA CDS. You see, 300 pages book. Kitna padhoge? There's no limit to it. Okay, there's no limit to it. Okay, so that's how you can get latest material. It was one topic which I wanted to discuss, rather than having access to a offline material or an offloaded material which would have been outdated, deprecated. Always refer to the latest one. However, one of my student has also done some hard work and he has shared some material. I'll just show you that quickly. That is already available in our training blog. Go to training blog my forms, and you would find here there is a link which I had already posted. Go to useful links, and there's one link over here called ABAP HANA study material. You see this one? It's one material which I personally liked it after looking into this material, which one of my student have shared. And you see, you were asking about HA100. It's available over here. Some guides are also available. This was shared by one of my student, and I thought of sharing it with everybody. However, if you guys also have your own material, please do share with me. I will put that all of that in the same folder, so everybody can be benefited out of it. Okay, cool. There's no end to material, guys. There's no end to it. You can search a lot. There's no end to it. Okay, coming back to SQL scripting. So what are all the two types of SQL scripting blocks, or two types of SQL scripting logic you can write? So what are all the types of statements you can use in SQL script? Finally, I got convinced my parents to buy a keyboard as well. And it's good to work with keyboard. I remember my school days when I used to work with keyboard. I love working with keyboard. I'm not kind of, very good in typing with the laptop keyboard. So I finally could arrange one keyboard for our classes. Okay, coming back, declarative logic. So first is declarative logic, and then yeah, it's a TVS Gold. You can remember the sound. Yes, very good. That's what I like, TVS Gold. This is my choice of keyboard, and I ordered it online recently. Okay, coming back, the first type of logic which you can write in SQL script is declarative logic. So this is also known as data flow logic. Okay, it's also called data flow logic, guys, or this is also known as pure SQL statement. Then the other side of the block you can see here on the right side, it's called imperative logic, also known as orchestration logic. These are industry usable terms, guys. People do use it. Okay, industry usable terms, orchestration logic. So there is a big difference the way both the types of logics are processed. There is a high chance of parallelization in declarative logic. However, there is a very less chance of having parallelization in orchestration logic. The moment have an orchestration logic or imperative logic inbuilt, system HANA system comes out of parallel mode. I will tell you these rules of the game, very important. So this includes your if condition, your looping, your while loop, your for loop, whatever you say, all this comes under the orchestration logic, guys. Okay, so these are all the two types of logic which you can write the SQL script into. They are the just the way you write. Okay, they are just the way you write. Now coming back, SQL script code given to HANA DB gets converted. So in the first one, what happens? The code gets converted to data flow graph. Okay, behind the scenes, SAP HANA converts this to a flow graph, and then what it does, it has a strong chance of getting processed in parallel. Okay, it has a strong chance of getting processed in parallel, guys. Okay, I will talk about it in a minute so that you can understand also. Now the next one on the other side, you see imperative logic. The imperative logic is actually the moment you put imperative logic in system SAP HANA system comes out of parallel processing. So there is no parallel processing of such logic. But we are good with anything. Okay, however, still HANA process it very fast because it the code sits very next to SAP HANA. It's SQL scripting. So if you talk about comparison, I would say declarative logic is better performance once again, but yet if you have to use some orchestration logic, you have to use it. There is no doubt about it. So don't think that you should not use imperative logic. Yes, if possible, you can go ahead, encode your use case with declarative logic as much as possible. Let's understand what is data flow graph, how exactly it works. So I'm going to write a simple use case. Let's take a use case where I'm going to write a simple query where I'm reading the data from a products table where product price is greater than 1000. So what I'll do is else lt underscore product equals to select star from snwd underscore pd table where price is greater than 1000. If this is the case, guys, what we are doing, let's call this as query 1. So I'm going to call this as q1. Now I'm going to write a next query, and what I'm going to do is I will now read all the sales orders for those products for which the price was greater than 1000. So I'm going to write next query q2, and I'll say lt sales equals to select star from my snwd underscore sales order where sales order product id in, or we can say product id is actually, yeah, in, and then I'll say select prod id from lt product. Okay, very simple logic where I am now reading this data from lt product internal table which we had created at the beginning, and then only those products the orders are getting read which are having price more than 1000. That's my query number 2. Now let's write down query number 3, q3. And what we will do here is I'm going to read completely a different data now for a purchase order. Okay, yeah, it's a subquery, absolutely. And now let's read purchase order data, and I'll say select star from snwd underscore, I'm not sure, po table where product id in, and I can say select prod id from lt products. That's my q3. And now finally move to q4 where I'm just now going to total up the sales order value. So let's do a q4 query number 4 where I'm just saying select sum of my gross amount from my selected data in the sales order result table lt sales. That's my q1, q2, q3 and q4, guys. Total 4 queries we have written. Now watch out what happens. First question to all of you, do you think do you think the query 2 do you think the query 2 can execute before executing query 1? Is it possible to execute q2 before q1? No, because you see, you are actually using this guy over here which influence the result of q2, and same applies. Do you think q3 can be processed before processing q1? Can q3 be processed before processing q1? No, because again this lt product is used in q3. So what happens, first the query 1 gets executed. Okay, now what happens, system is going to execute query 2 where the output of query 1 is given to query 2. Now system reaches to q3. Now do you think the query 3 is dependent on query 2? Is query 3 is dependent on query 2? Is the result of query 2 is passed to query 3? No, not at all. What does it mean? It means SAP HANA can actually process query 3 into the parallel mode. Okay, it can process query 3 in parallel, and then once again the q4 is done. Now the q4, watch out, the q4 can it process before q2? No, so the q4 gets processed after q2. So here the Q2 is producing result that goes to Q4, and that's your data flow graph in SAP HANA. The final result comes out. So here you see this guy and these two guys are processed in parallel, guys, by SAP HANA processing engine. Clear, everybody? This is called data flow graph. Is that clear, everybody? What is data flow graph? So you can see the query one. If I write the data flow graph, query one gets executed. And if I look at further on, then you have query two and query 3 and query 4 accordingly. And then if I just draw this, connect these pieces together to draw my data flow graph, then I can see, and once SAP HANA draws exactly the same data flow graph behind the scenes, and it then realized that, okay, yeah, there is something which in the data flow graph can be processed in parallel, really. Yeah, and that's how SAP HANA is actually going to process the result. So here you see this guy is Q3, this guy is Q2, this guy is Q4. So now you see Q2 and Q3 both can be processed in parallel. Clear, everybody? What is data flow graph inside of SAP HANA? Yeah, that's what SAP HANA does. Now the golden rules of running into parallel mode. What will cause, or what will kick you out of parallel mode? Okay, what will kick you out of parallel mode? Let's try to write down those golden rules. The moment you see a local scalar parameter and variable is used in the container, it will come out of parallel mode. So the moment you see local variable or scalar parameter is in use, query comes out, it will come out of parallel mode. Now you will say, Anubhav, this LT product is a local variable. No, guys. Local variable in SQL script is created using declare statement. These are not local variables what you are creating here. These things, they are called implicit table types. Okay, they are called implicit table types. They are not called local variable. A local variable is created using declare statement. Is that clear, everybody? The very first thing, is that clear? The local variable is created using declare statement. These LT product, LT sales, they are not local variables. Okay, they are not local variables. Next, if you are doing any read write procedure in anything which is related to reading, writing operation, okay, which includes DDL and DML statements. So whenever it encounters, whenever inside of a processing block, system finds a DML, data manipulation language, insert, update, delete, or DDL, create, alter statement inside the procedure, inside the blocks, it comes out of parallel mode. Okay, that's second number. Okay, this is good interview question, guys. When SAP HANA comes out of parallel mode in processing of your SQL script logic. The next is the moment it encounters imperative logic. Okay, the moment it encounters imperative logic, which includes if condition, looping, cursor, example, etc. These kind of statements, the moment it finds an imperative logic or orchestration logic in the system comes out of parallel mode. Next, SQL statements which are not assigned to implicit variables, which are not assigned to implicit variables. So these are implicit variables which we created on the top. You see every query is assigned to an implicit variable. Implicit matlab apne aap, automatic. It gets created automatically. You don't have to create it. Don't compare this with ABAP, guys. In ABAP it's little different. So you see the Q4 here, the result is not assigned to any implicit variable, which means the moment it reaches Q4 it will come out of parallel mode, but by this time you already processed couple of things in the parallel, right? So that doesn't matter. So remember, anything which is not assigned to an implicit variable like these will also kick you out of the parallel mode. Simply you're writing select star from some table, select dummy from dummy, whatever. If you're not assigning to an implicit variable, it comes out of parallel mode. So what are all the guidelines to make sure that you run always and get better performance result in SAP HANA? So what should you do? What is the guideline for what?
Hello.
One second, just let me
Hello.
complete this topic and then I will open up for questions. Okay, there are some questions in the chat box as well. Let me complete this particular block and then we will open up for questions. So guidelines, in case you cannot avoid any processing logic, what you should do, what is the good practice? The very first good practice is split the code, where the logic which can be processed in parallel moves in to the separate block. We will talk about these blocks or these containers. I would say I will call it a separate container, guys. Okay, container would be the right word which we technically use. Okay, what is the container we will discuss in a minute. I am going to reach to that particular point in a minute. Or you can put all the imperative logic at the end of procedure. Okay, at the end, last में रखो उसको. Let the procedure, let the code process all your things, queries in parallel, and all the output together, whatever is produced, you apply an imperative logic on the final output produced by multiple queries. Clear, everybody? Keep your logic, imperative logic, towards the end of the procedure, end of the code. That would also safeguard you coming out of parallel mode. However, if you can't avoid, no problem, go ahead and put it. Don't think too much. It will not still become a bottleneck for you, because you are writing SQL script, and SQL script is the best way to talk to DB. It sits very close to DB. ये database का favorite language है. Okay, it's favorite language of database. And when you know what happens when some of your favorite talks to you, you always listen to your favorites, right? So this is database favorites. Database will always consider and gives more priority, more highest importance to this SQL script. Now opening up for questions, please go ahead and ask your question. Not more than 2 questions or 3 questions, otherwise we'll not be able to complete our course till the end. Yes, please. No questions? Difference between SQL script. SQL, this is SQL. You see this guy, this is SQL. And you see, assigning this guy to variable is SQL script. Okay, we will see more in today's class. You will understand more in detail what is SQL script. It's like programming language, guys. SQL script is like programming, SQL programming it is. Okay, it's a SQL programming. Yes.
What is the screen? Actually, since for the past 5 to 5 minutes, I could see only one screen, that is 66 number. Is it the right correct screen that you are?
Anubhav, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Is this SQL is what this database interface converts from above to this?
Yes, this is again code to data paradigm approach, one of the code to data paradigm approach, where you can move down your logic to HANA and write same orchestration logic what you will be being doing, like loop at itype जो अब आप में कर रहे थे, you can now do it in HANA to get better performance. Okay, we will code complete OIA, guys, in SQL script. Don't worry, we will code complete open item analysis scenario using SQL script. So that's part of our course. That time you'll get understand more. Okay, now let's start with this programming.
Anubhav, just one question.
Yes.
This SQL script will be using at the database layer,
Yes.
and we can create the calculation view creation as well, right?
No, this is now we are coming out of information models. This is no more information model now here. There is no calculation view. There is nothing like that. It's pure
Okay.
SQL programming code. However, the calculation view which you created can be used here in the select query. So यहाँ पे instead of table name, you can use your view name in the select query in SQL scripting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
In a
So
moment,
this
you will
like
see, guys. You will see.
procedures.
It's pure
Yeah, fine.
programming. It's a database programming actually. Okay. If you have heard in your life about PLSQL, SQL
Yes, yes.
PLSQL, it's actually PLSQL. Okay, procedural language for database. It's a programming of database, end-to-end programming. The way you do in ABAP, you select star from some table, loop at itab and all that stuff. It's all possible here in SQL script. We'll be looking into it in detail. Yes, we can use loop. Let me move on so that I can showcase you the capabilities, what it does. Just the way in ABAP you do data declaration, same way you can do. I request you to please mute your line. It is disturbing the complete recording. Thank you so much. Okay, coming back, what is the syntax to declare variable in ABAP? It's very, very simple. We have data statement, then your variable name, oops, data statement, then your variable name, and then you can put the type, and then you can put your data type, your implicit data type in ABAP, or you can put DDIC type, yeah, your custom type, all that you can put in ABAP to declare a variable. What is the syntax you use in SQL script to create a variable? It's very, very simple. We once again write declare statement, and then we put our variable name, okay, space the data type you got to write. Now I'll say, Anubhav, what are all the data types? So let's talk about the data types. Before that, couple of funda folks. Okay, let's try couple of funda folks. The very first thing, every statement in SQL script ends with semicolon. I hope all of you know semicolon symbol. It's a one eye smiley. Okay, it's a one eye smiley. That's the symbol for ending every SQL statement. The next funda fox, important funda fox, SQL script is not case sensitive like ABAP. Okay, so today as an ABAPer, as I've been continuously explaining in majority of the sessions, that for you today importance is to learn ABAP on HANA, S4 HANA technicals, CDS views, SQL scripting, and then of course you know ABAP. You should know also the UI5 and Fiori. The majority of us work with UI5 Fiori, work with JavaScript technology. There also we end every statement with semicolon, but JavaScript is case sensitive. Okay, however SQL script is not case sensitive. Okay, it is not. The third thing, when we use, very very important funda fox, when we create, when we use a variable in SQL script, we have to put a colon before that. Okay, before the variable name. Now अगर कभी भूल जाओ तो ये स्माइली याद रखना. We, if you get a syntax error in SQL script, smile, guys. I'll tell you the guru mantra, smile. When you get a syntax error in SQL script, smile karna, तुमको याद आ जाएगा. It's a smiley symbol. You can see this is the colon you have to put when you are consuming a variable in SQL script. Okay, very very important funda fox. When you are assigning a variable, a value to a variable, we can avoid, we should avoid the colon. Okay, let me take an example. Example is I declare a variable, and I declare a variable called x, and I say integer, and I'll say x. I want to select the value from x, or I want to assign a value of x to another variable of y. So I should say declare y is also an integer. Now if I want to assign this value of x to y, I should use y equals to colon x. Clear, everybody? So in this, you see, you are assigning the value to a variable. That time you will not use colon. However, when you're using a variable, that time you're using a colon. Clear, everybody? The best example to explain is this. When you're using a variable, use a smiley symbol before that. When you're assigning a value to a variable, both are variables, you don't use a smiley symbol. And also the assignment operator in SQL script is colon equals to. It's not just equals to. Okay, it is not just equals to, it's colon equals to. The assignment variable is colon equals to, not just equals to. Clear, everybody? These are all couple of funda foxes which will greatly help you when you're coding in SQL script. Don't think it's not important. There is a concept in ABAP called AMDP. अगर SQL script नहीं आता है तो AMDP concept भूल जाना, कभी काम नहीं कर पाओगे. AMDP you will never be able to work if you don't know SQL script. And if you know SQL script, it will make you unique in your company. It will make you different from your colleagues. अपने आप को भीड़ से अलग करो, सक्सेस अपने आप हाथ में आ जाएगा. Try to separate yourself from the crowd. You will automatically be the choice of colleague in the company. You will be the favorite of your manager. What is that unique quality in you? Identify that. And if you don't have such, build that to be successful in your career. Okay. मैनेजर पूछेगा किसको SQL स्क्रिप्ट आता है, किसको आता है, किसको आता है, किसको आता है, झट से हाथ खड़ा हो जाएगा, मेरे को आता है. You are selected for the next round. You're selected for the client. You're selected for travel opportunities and a better career path. You are different from your colleagues. You know SQL script. The moment you gain this knowledge of SQL script, you will also be able to eligibly work with SAP HANA native development plus AMDP plus CDS table function. तीन कॉन्सेप्ट एक साथ कवर हो जाएंगे तुम्हारे. और फोर्थ ऑल्सो, चौथा बेनिफिट, scripted calculation view will also be covered, guys, if you know SQL script. चार कॉन्सेप्ट जुड़े हुए हैं SQL script से. All four concepts will be covered. There's an example somebody putting on the system here. Is x equals to 4? Is this valid? Anybody? What is the funda fox? Is it so difficult English to read? Is this correct or incorrect? Who will tell me? I am assigning some value to my variable. Should I use colon or not? Is this correct or incorrect? Yes, very good. It's simple English to identify it's incorrect. Clear, everyone? Yeah, good that you asked this question. Sometimes it may so happen simple things may not be able to understand. Now let me write the next one. There's another one in the chat window. I'll say this. Is this correct or incorrect? Anybody, is this correct or incorrect? It's correct. Okay, it's correct because this is just an assignment operator and it's just assigning a value to x. Clear? We will see that in the system in a minute when we start writing the code. Coming to the data types, what are all the data types you have in SQL script? Let's quickly write them down. Data types in SQL script. The very first one is numeric data types. So numeric, we have tiny integer, we have small integer, we have just integer, we have big integer, we have small decimal, we have double, we have decimal. All these are all different varieties of data types we have. Then we have character data types. What are all the character data types in SQL script? We have varchar. Varchar stands for variable character. If you have character and number combinations, you feel so, you can use nvarchar, and then you can also use alpha num. These are all different character, number, character combination data types. For date, we have timestamp and date time. Now, don't think I remember them. I am just looking at my notes in my notebook and I'm writing them. This is also important for me that I don't miss out on any topic for you guys. Sometimes it so happen that I can't remember complete 40 hours of course. Okay, so it's important for me to uh, follow through the flow, and the flow is written in my notebook. I have a notebook with me in which I prepared my own notes. I'm following that to note down. I don't remember these data types, but when I stuck, I can always Google and find them up. Yeah, then we have binary data types, unary data types, you can also call them, and this it's var binary. And then finally we have large objects. Okay, जैसे raw use करते हैं ABAP में, you have raw data type in ABAP that gets transformed into HANA DB as CLOB, BLOB, binary lob, and then you have NLOB. These are all big data types for large values inside of system. Yeah, so that's about the data types. Let's shoot up and go to system. Before we get into system, one important point, how you can create variables in SAP HANA. There are three ways to do that. Okay, so let me take a couple of questions in the chat box. What is the difference between these two? Let me take that question, guys, quickly, just to come here. So let's take this question here. What is the difference between this? This is incorrect because you are using a colon here for X, okay, which is not good, not a good practice. You're assigning a value to X, not at all required to put this colon in. This is not a good way of doing. I don't think so. It will give you an error, but this is not the good way of doing it. B is correct. Here, this colon equals to is the assignment operator, and 5 is the value you're assigning to X. Clear? Now, I guess these data types are also applicable for OData data types. No, OData data types are EDM dot. All the OData data types starts with EDM. Don't confuse the class by typing OData word. OData I did not even touch upon yet into our course. You don't understand what OData is according to me. You are all fresher for me as far as OData is concerned. I've never used a word called OData till now in the classes. So don't talk about OData at this moment. It will be an overdose for those who don't know. However, you can ask your question, not a problem. Okay. Can you explain again? Okay, let me once again explain that. So this symbol is used when you want to use the variable. This should not be used when you want to assign a value to the variable. Okay, so here you are assigning a value to the variable. This symbol is not required. Ye correct hai. And the moment you do this, it becomes B. So in the B, you see we are just assigning a value. Here colon equals to is the assignment operator. More you will be clear now in a minute when I will write our first SQL script code. Okay, you will be more clear about it. Just hold on your questions so that I can proceed and showcase you something quality things rather than getting stuck on this silly doubt. It will be more clear to you in a minute. Okay, coming back. What are all the different varieties of data variables? Like in ABAP, you have scalar variable, structures, strings or work areas, which are more like structures. And then we have tables, internal tables in ABAP. Similarly, here also we have different variety of data types, data variable types. So the very first one comes again scalar data types. Single value hold karenge, like matner. Okay, you create a variable called lv matnr type matner. That's a scalar variable, a single variable actually. The next one comes is the variable of type a table. So you can use a table type to create these variables. There are two types of table types. One is implicit and one is explicit. Now, if you just quickly see that in a look back, the previous example which I was writing here, this is implicit table declaration. ये automatic बन जाएगा. ठीक है, कुछ we didn't have to write any type declaration like data type this thing declare, nothing is required. It's implicit. Based on the output data from the table, it automatically assigns the value to this. Okay, this is an implicit data table which gets created, and explicit is what we can define using syntax by putting the columns of our choice in the table, like. Okay, now coming, yes, more like in line, but don't compare it, don't compare things with above, guys, too much. It will become make you confuse. Then coming to array types, array are single column table. Actually, they are single column table. Sometimes we in data structure unit in college days, I used to say array is a single type of variable table, right? Single data type, multiple values of single data type you can hold inside an array. That's what is it was actually the array part. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, cool. So these are all the three types of things we do have it in the system: scalar, table type, and arrays. Now what I'm going to do next is we will just go ahead and talk about containers. Very, very important point. We will see these all three data types in a minute when I start writing SQL script. There will be hell lot of examples I have with me which will clarify a lot of things for you. Okay, so I would still request to control your emotions and curiousness about SQL script. I have brought you lot of examples. आपका सारा satisfaction आ जाएगा उससे. All your doubts will be clarified with that. Let me allow you to proceed. Hold on your doubts for some time. I'm not saying don't ask, you can, but it will create confusion in the entire class. So there are a lot of people watching the chat window, then it will confuse them. Okay, so let's look at the flow, basic things. I'm here to explain everything for you, but so that allow me a little bit to proceed so that you can ask the right questions. Okay, now coming back to containers, कैसे लिखेंगे, कहाँ लिखेंगे? So that's what exactly a containers is. Container is the block of SQL script code. Okay, containers are the block of SQL script code. Believe me, not a single trainer on internet would have taught you this. Those who had taken HANA training in the past in your life, you would have seen your trainer wouldn't have touched upon SQL script. When it comes to scripted calculation views, हाथ खड़े कर लेते हैं ट्रेनर. SQL script पढ़ा ही नहीं पाते हैं वो. And they won't even tell you that there is something called three types of container, because many of them just gain the knowledge from some other trainer. They are not willing to read something from books. And I have read the complete SQL script guide, which is about 240 pages guide. Completely I've read through it, and that's what I have come out with this SQL script chapter to showcase you the capability of SQL script. There are three types of container blocks. The SQL script blocks you can write. Only one type people will teach you in online trainings. I am going to cover all three of them. The first one called anonymous SQL block. The second called procedure. So procedure is what, guys? It's a container. So you might have seen your trainers teaching you procedure, procedure, procedure. It's actually a container, one of the type of container. And third one, can anybody guess? It's called UDF. UDF stands for user defined functions. These are all the three types of container blocks we have inside of SAP HANA. In fact, any procedural PL SQL programming, maybe if you work with Oracle, you're going to find the same concept in Oracle in the system. Okay, so that's what exactly three types of blocks we do have it in the system. The first one, anonymous SQL block. What is the syntax to create anonymous SQL block? It's very, very easy. Do begin end. That's the very first one, anonymous SQL block. Yeah, this is how you write anonymous SQL block right away. The second one, the syntax to create a procedure is little bit different as compared to anonymous SQL block. It's create procedure, procedure name, parenthesis, you can put parameters. Okay, all the parameter names. Let's say P1 its type, comma P2 its type. You can also have input and output parameter. Like function module, guys, in ABAP, you can have importing and exporting parameters. Similarly, we can have importing, exporting, and changing parameters inside a procedure. So you can use in, you can use out, or you can use in out parameters in SQL script. Clear, everybody? P3 and its data type. That's what the create procedure is all about. And then we have language. You can write SQL script. There is another language supported in SAP HANA called R language, used for machine learning algorithm. If you have ever heard about machine learning, artificial intelligence in SAP HANA, it's actually coded in R language. We are not going to discuss machine learning and R language in this. I'm not an expert yet onto that area, still an explorer into that area. Hopefully by end of this year, I should be able to launch a course on machine learning in SAP HANA with native HANA application development and application function library in SAP HANA. Okay, so that point of time, maybe I can teach you the R language. Okay, we are not going to use for a BAP on HANA, the R language is not at all used. Only the SQL script language is used. Now coming next is default schema. Schema name, you got to put it inside double quotes. Now this is the schema name which points to the always the schema in which your tables are lying. So this procedure, when you execute it, understand that all the tables used inside the procedure for SQL statements are lying or are residing inside the schema, inside this schema what you're writing here. Okay, that's what system will decide. And then we say reads SQL data. This is one important clause to database, telling the database that we are not going to modify any data in this procedure, which means database will know that, okay, it's a read only procedure, which means it's only used for read purpose. Hence, database prepare himself to be ready and to see some improvement for parallelization. Because you remember, the moment you have an statement which is a DML statement, database comes out of parallel mode, right guys? This is what we learned. So by writing this reads SQL data, the procedure becomes read only. HANA certification question: what makes an SAP HANA procedure read only? The syntax for that is reads SQL data. That's a syntax, or that's a exact keyword which makes a HANA procedure read only, which means you are not allowed to now write any insert, update, delete statement inside the procedure. It will give you syntax errors. Okay, if you do so. Then as begin, उसके बाद में झमाझम अपना कोड लिख लो जितना भी लिखना है, and then finally end the procedure. That's the syntax for writing a SQL script procedure. Clear, everybody? I am right now just teaching you syntax. Don't panic. We're going to see multiple examples of this in the system. When it comes to when it comes to UDF are again of two types. Okay, they are of two types. One is called scalar UDF, one is called table UDF. We will discuss both of them in our course. Now you say create function as the syntax here, and then you're gonna use function name. Function never have an separate in out and in parameter. It always have input parameters, it never have an output parameter. However, function always returns one value, guys. We will discuss the detail all the things. Functions are always coded in SQL script with the default schema, and there is no keyword called reads SQL data. That's not at all in use. This particular keyword is not used. As begin, as simple as that. That's a syntax for coding UDF in SAP HANA. Clear, everybody? Three different syntaxes for three different variety of container blocks. With that, let's get started to the action into the system and see some proper coding, see some example of code. Now, very important point to note that there are multiple schemas in SAP HANA DB. When you are connecting to SAP HANA SQL console for writing SQL script or trying out something, the default schema which it is set for the session of the user is the username schema. So those who have my server access, mob server, you would have observed that when you go to catalog, you would find a schema with your username, same as your username. So for example, your username is mob5, you would find a schema called mob5 inside of SAP HANA. Typically they say that you are permitted to read write only in that mob5 schema. and that's what exactly happening. We're not going to work with this SAP above one schema for writing purpose. Actually, you can do read write, but not for manipulating database artifacts. Anything which you want to create a new database table and stuff like that, you do it with your local schema. Don't do it with this SAP ABAP schema. Okay. Now, point one: when you come to HANA DB, you see your system, and now you click on SQL console, guys. Now, the moment you click on SQL console, it launches the SQL console like this. And now here you can check what is the schema it is currently pointing to. So I can say get schema, enter, sorry, execute, and now you see, oops, the current schema for user is always set as the username. So my user is Anubhav here. So I see the schema name is, there's a schema called Anubhav also. Now if I try to read the table from another schema which is there in SAP ABAP 1, can anybody tell me a table name in ABAP? Anybody? For our EPM data model, tell me quickly a table name from EPM data model. I will fire a select query in the SQL console and show you what happens. SNWD SO, so say select star from SNWD SO, execute, and you see invalid table name is coming up. Why this cola very D? Why, guys? SNWD BPA, why this cola very D? Anybody? What do you think? What's the issue? System is unable to understand where is the schema, where exactly this guy is into. Clear, everybody? You have to tell the schema name. Very important. You have to tell that. So I have to prefix the schema name SAP above one dot and then put my table name and execute, and voila, all the data comes out of my table. Clear, everybody? Clear, everybody, this particular thing which I've showed you here. So what is happening? System, the current session, the session when you connect to SQL session, the schema name which is defaulted for your user session is your username schema. Okay, if you want to read data from another schema, you have to put schema name as a prefix to before the DB table name. Okay, clear, everybody? This statement, let me write this funda fox over here. This is, once again, no book will tell you this thing. When you're working, that's when you experience these things. So what is funda fox here? Schema, as we all know, schema is a mandatory object in DB, which includes all the runtime definition of database objects. Okay, this is what schema really does. Includes all the runtime definition of database objects. And now, important point to note that when you connect to SQL console, the system defaults schema. System defaults the schema as username schema. Hence, in order to read, work with tables or other database objects inside of other schemas, for example, SAP ABAP 1 for ABAP, we must put the schema name before DB table. Clear, everybody? There's another way to do that. There's another way. You can also optionally use default the current session schema using set schema statement. Clear, everybody? I'll show you that now in a minute. Wow, what an amazing thing. Let's come back to SQL. And now see, I remove this guy. Will it work? Anybody? When I say F8, will it work? Yes or no? Anybody? Do you think it will work? No, it won't work. It gives you an error. because schema name is important. System doesn't know. Okay, so now I go back and I'll say set schema SAP above 1. And you see guys, this statement will now make your session schema to default SAP above 1. Okay, that's what it does. So I can also show you now. I just set the schema now for session and now execute this statement. Press F8 and voila, you see it working now without specifying the schema name before the table name, because now system has set for this particular SQL session this default schema is SAP above 1, and there's no need to call this again and again for the current session. You can just go ahead and put your table name PD, execute, and you see it gives you the product data as well. Clear everybody. You can go and search for SNWD sales order items, and you see sales order items data as well. Clear everyone? That's what exactly it is doing. Now don't look at the data. This data was generated by myself. This is not really the SAP above 1 schema of your SAP system. This is my local system. I have set up my own system in my own laptop. As I told you guys, to learn things, I do a lot of effort. I do put a lot of effort in my personal learning. I had installed a lightweight HANA instance in my local computer, and this is called HANA Express Edition, designed and most suitable for a single developer to install a lightweight version of SAP HANA in your local computer and work with SAP HANA and learn, because I have to do also native HANA application development. So that's the reason I've installed it. So today I have created a simple schema SAP above 1 to demonstrate SQL script features to you. Okay, that's what I've done. And I've replicated those tables from above here in my SAP above 1 schema. Okay, it's SAP HANA Express Edition is absolutely free, but the cost of hardware is on you. Okay, so I have spent 1,20,000 Indian bucks about 3 months back convincing my parents, buying this laptop and arranging a RAM size of 20 GB in this system. The minimum requirement for working with SAP HANA Express Edition with only HANA Access is 8 GBs, 8 gigs of memory, and I think it's 12 gigs of memory. And for Access Advanced, it is 16 gigs of memory you need to be able to work. I did not had such a laptop which has such a powerful configuration. I recently bought this laptop with full HD display. It's a Lenovo laptop, and I have 20 GB of gigs of memory in this system. I can quickly show you that up. So my computer, and I can just go to right click properties, and you see this is 20 GB RAM size. I have done this investment on my learning, and I'm sure I am going to take out the value out of it. So guys, learning investment never goes in dump. Many people come to me, Anubhav, the course fee is very high. You will not believe me how much I spend on my learning. I spent a lot, and always it gets me lots of returns back to me. Buying an iPhone or 60,000 people don't have a question. Buying an iPhone or 80,000, 85,000, they don't have a question. And buying a course online, they do think twice thrice. Many inquiries I do get from people, they show a lot of interest, and then they say not now. Snoozers. Yeah, snoozers, guys, don't be a snoozer. Okay, coming back. So that's a SQL statement. Now let me open another session. What do you think? The same statement of select star from this table, will it work here? Will this work in another session? No. The schema which you set is temporarily only for that session. If you run this, it won't work. You got to do again a set schema. How do you read the current schema set to the user? You can say select schema name from dummy. Just do that. You're going to read, sorry, I think it's not schema name, it's current schema. That's a system variable, guys. Just reading current schema, that's a system variable. Execute this, and you see the current schema set for the session is Anubhav schema. Clear everybody? So if you are creating a table or if you're doing anything, please do it in your current schema. Don't touch SAP above 1 schema. Please don't touch SAP above 1 schema. However, if you're doing read operation, please use SAP above 1 schema for reading. That's your ABAP data. Okay, that's your really ABAP data. You can use that, but don't generate tables, don't change data. Be careful, guys. It will affect every single user in the system. Okay, don't write into ABAP1 schema tables. Don't do anything over there. Do it in your local schemas. If you're just doing read, you can use, of course, ABAP1 schema where you have our SNWD tables for our OIA scenario. Okay, so let me put these statements into the PPT so that you guys can also remember. So let me just try that, this guy, and of course one statement called set schema SAP ABAP1, and I just go ahead and writing a SQL query for my table just to check if the data is popping up. Yeah, this is what we've done by far. Let's proceed now and write our first anonymous SQL block where I'm going to just write a very simple program adding two numbers quickly. So just come back directly in the system. We're going to do everything. Just close this console. Just keep one open. Just say do begin, and then I'm going to write all my code. It's not case sensitive, so no worries. You can write begin in capital or small, doesn't matter. Now let me create a variable. So I said declare z integer. Every line must end with semicolon, and I can say z equals to 20, and then I can say select z from dummy to print it, and done. Execute it. You can see it's printing the result of z on the output screen. Clear, everybody? The very first example created a variable, assign a value to this variable. You see I'm not using any smiley symbol before z over here, completely not required, just assigning a value to it. However, it's a good practice to use this guy for assignment operator. Execute it. Okay, execute it. You see it's printing the result on the UI. Clear, everybody? How to create your first SQL script anonymous block with assigning a value to variable, hard-coded value, and printing it on the UI. Very, very simple. I'm starting with very basic, very scratch. So your first program, create an anonymous block. Yeah, आ गया. Perfect. That's your code. Let's just make it like this. Perfect. That's my code, guys, of writing first SQL script anonymous block. Let's make it little interesting. दो नंबर को ऐड करते हैं. चलिए, let's do that. Let's see if it can do it for me. So I can just say 10 plus 20. Anybody, what should be the output? Execute. 30 is the output. That's what the beauty of SQL script. You can do all manipulation logic in SQL script, everything what you need. Let's create now variables for this SQL script. So I can say do begin. When you want to now put input output parameters, it's very, very easy. You can just go ahead and simply assign them. So how can you do that? Just say do, after that put parenthesis. Okay, डू के बाद स्पेस नहीं आएगा. रिमेंबर, डू के बाद स्पेस डालोगे तो फंसोगे, कोड नहीं चलेगा. हैव टू नो स्पेस आफ्टर डू. पैरेंथेसिस के अंदर पैरामीटर्स डालेंगे. लेट्स पुट एन इनपुट पैरामीटर x integer type, and I can say equals to arrow symbol question mark, which means I want to take this value from user. Okay, I want to take this value for user. You have to put equals to, greater than, equals to, question mark, which means I want to take this value at runtime from user, comma, another input parameter y as integer. Again I want to say equals to, greater than, question mark, I want to take the value of y also from the user, and instead of this hard-coded value this, now this time I'm using a variable x and y. What to do? If I put x plus y, will it work? Anybody? Will it work? It won't work. Execute it. It gives you an error. What to do when you want to use a variable in SQL script? When you want to use the value of a variable, what do you use? Smile, guys. Smile. Smile symbol over here and over here. I'm using x and y in some place. For my purpose, I have to put colon before that. Okay, here you are assigning value to z, so no colon is required. When you assign, no column is required. When you use, the colon is required. Clear, everybody? Now it's clear in the example. Okay, cool. Finally it's clear. Execute it. Again there's a problem. What's the problem? In parameter x integer question mark, in parameter y integer question mark. Where is the problem? What is going wrong? You see down, begin declare z integer in this. Do this, begin declare z integer. SQL syntax error, line number 2, column number 11. I think there's a space required, guys. Yes, there is a space required. I forgot that. You can't just put directly, just have to put a space after do, execute it, and yes, it takes the values. I can pass 50 and 50. Kitna hota hai? Execute kar do. 100 is your output. Clear, everybody? That's how you can pass parameters, input parameters to your anonymous SQL block. Remember, this feature is supported only starting SAP HANA SPS 12. From SPS 12, you can pass parameters to anonymous blocks. Before HANA 1.0 SPS 12, it was not possible to pass parameters. So those who are using CAL server, it will not work. This code will not work in the CAL server. If any one of you are using CAL, this will not work because CAL server is on NetWeaver SAP HANA 1.0 SP10. SP10 पे है CAL server, and this feature of passing parameters with anonymous block was introduced in SP12. SP10 में नहीं हुआ था, तो CAL में नहीं चलेगा ये कोड. अगर कॉपी पेस्ट करके चलाओगे नहीं चलेगा, ध्यान रखना, CAL में नहीं चलेगा ये कोड. Clear, everybody? Very important to note that. Some people will come back, they are using CAL. Don't use CAL for that purpose, it will not work. However, if you are above 1.0 SP12 in SAP HANA or on SP12, you can use this code as it is and work with it. Okay, now what is the disadvantage of using anonymous blocks? What is the disadvantage? Anybody? The biggest disadvantage is cannot be used for productive purpose, right? Can you use it for productive purpose? Can you call it from above? स्टोरी नहीं कर रहे हो तो यूज कहां से करोगे, रीयूज कहां से करोगे? यू आर नॉट स्टोरिंग एनीवेयर, इज जस्ट अ ब्लॉक, यू आर राइटिंग, executing immediately and processing it. So why the hell it will be used for productive purpose? It cannot be used for productive purpose. Second thing, it's a bad maintenance. Never use anonymous blocks, they are bad maintenance. You got to change every time the code and run them. It's not a good way. Okay, every time system runs this, it compiles it, right? Every time you say execute, system has to compile, again execute, again compile, again execute, again compile. It has to do every time compilation of this. What is the better way? Compile करके store कर लो ना. Better way, what is the better way? Compile and store it, boss. Compile and store it permanently for future user, and that's what called stored procedure, guys. That's why procedures are called stored procedures. Clear, everybody, why they are called stored procedures? Those who taken SAP HANA training from other trainers, did your trainer told you why stored procedure is called stored procedure? It's an anonymous block stored in database, compiled and stored in database. It's called stored procedure. Next time you execute, you don't have to compile. Database don't have to compile it. It's just going to execute it, because during activation, the compilation takes place. And if the compilation fails, the activation fails. Once it's activated, it means it's syntax free. It can work. Okay, clear, everybody? That's what your SQL script procedure is, a stored procedure is all about. It's a stored anonymous block. You can give a name to it. So it's actually names SQL script container, one of the SQL script container. It is a stored procedure. It's a anonymous block which is pre-compiled and stored in DB permanently. Okay, any other procedure block, it can use, it can be used by other processing blocks, other containers. right? आपने store कर दिया इसको. It's like function module. You store a function module, you can call it from multiple programs, right? And once you activate, it's done actually. Once upon a time, it's done. It can also accept input, output, and changing in out parameters. Clear? That's what exactly it is all about. We already saw the syntax. Let's convert our anonymous block to a stored procedure now. So I'm going to come back. Remember guys, I'm going to use my own schema for such development. I'm not going to store my procedures in SAP ABAP one schema. You also don't do that. Use your own schema for your own development. So open another session, check your current schema, select current schema from dummy, execute. You see Anubhav, my current user schema is my schema. I'm going to store my procedure here guys. So call create procedure, pass two input parameters, procedure name sum up, okay, total num, and I can now put input parameter x as integer, comma input parameter y as integer, okay. And then remember the syntax. Don't remember, let's go back. So come here, language SQL script default schema. So language SQL script default schema. I love keyboard guys. I got power with this keyboard. Language SQL script, and then default schema not required really. Actually over here you can, however, you can put default schema, and I can say Anubhav, and then I can come back and say reads SQL as begin. Okay, and let's give an output parameter called z, and let's just say z colon equals to, sorry, z to output hai na, equals to simple x plus simple y. These small examples make you perfect in SQL script. Okay guys, these small examples makes you perfect in SQL script. So don't think them as a silly example. एक बार लिख के तो देखो सर, मजा आ जाएगा. I love SQL script. First day as an ABAPer, when I saw SQL script, I said, oh my God, what the hell? It's so dirty. It's so difficult to learn. After writing through 2, 3, 5, 4, 6 procedures, I started loving it. And now I am a fan of SQL script. I love writing SQL script. I always go and find and talk to my manager. कोई SQL script का काम है तो मुझे दे दो. And honestly speaking, nobody in my team knows SQL script. Only I am the one who knows it, and I feel proud about it. And I always feel confident that I know SQL script, and if there is any work going to come up, my manager has no choice. He has to come to me. And many times, sometime I'm on leave, they call me up, Anubhav, SQL script is failing. Come on, Anubhav, please help me. Even my PO, my manager, everybody is running behind me, keep calling me. That makes me feel confident that I am playing an important role in my team. जिस दिन वो दिन तुम ले आओगे, उस दिन समझ लेना तुम्हारा करियर पक्का हो गया. That day you are important in the team. Execute. This guy got executed, created the procedure successfully. Congratulations guys, this is a big milestone for all of you. First procedure got created. Now tell me, which schema do you think this procedure would have got created? Anybody? Which schema do you think this procedure would have got created? Which schema do you see? Absolutely right. Ritu is right. Anubhav schema. Go to Anubhav schema and look at the procedures, and you see total num procedure. Do you observe something interesting? Can you tell me? Did you observe something interesting? Can you tell me? Did you observe something interesting? Can you tell me? Did you observe something interesting? Can you tell me? Did you observe something interesting? Can you tell me? Did you observe something? Absolutely. The SQL script procedure name automatically gets converted to capital letter, guys. The capital letter. System converts the SQL script procedure name to capital letter. The same thing applies to database table. When you create a DB table, system converts it to the capital letter. This is a big thing. So if you're trying to call a SQL script procedure, make sure that you use capital letter. Don't use small letter. You will have a problem. Then you say, Anubhav, मेरा SQL script procedure call नहीं हो रहा है. Remember, this is an important point. SQL script procedure gets converted automatically. The name gets converted to the uppercase. Now I'm going to call this. Let's open up another session. Very easy to call. Very easy. Call the procedure name is total num. And I'm going to pass my first value is 10. Second value is 20. And let's execute this procedure. And oops, there's a problem. Wrong number of parameters. Yes, there is an output parameter also. See guys, there's an output parameter. इसके लिए क्या करें? मुझे output screen पे देखना है. Question mark pass कर दो बस. Pass question mark here. Execute it. You're gonna see the output on your UI. If you want to pass the value of 20 also, instead of 20 you want to pass this value, what do you do? If you want to pass this value, not hard-coded value, what do you do? Come on, fast, come on, question mark. Very good, execute it. It'll ask you only one parameter. I pass 60 और 10 कितना होता है? 70. Execute कर दो 70 हो गया. फर्स्ट पैरामीटर हार्ड कोडेड, सेकंड पैरामीटर मैंने पास किया, थर्ड पैरामीटर आउटपुट पे आ गया. व्हाट एन अमेजिंग एग्जांपल. Congratulations. Please do try this example at home. When I used to watch WWE in my childhood, Raw and SmackDown, they always used to say, please don't try this at home. But I will always tell you, please try this at home. Please try this at home, guys. Very important. You have to try this at home. Okay, you have to try this at home. Don't watch SmackDown. Don't be a SmackDown viewer. Please try this at home. Very important. Let's put this code up. Our first procedure. Amazing. As an ABAPer, it feels so good. It feels so good to learn another UI technology, sorry, another technology here, over here, which sits very close to database. If you love SQL script, HANA will love you. Remember, if you love SQL script, HANA will love you. You want to be loved by HANA? Yeah, you want to be loved by HANA? HANA will love you if you love SQL script. What about changing the procedure? Now remember, important funda fox, changing a procedure, we can use alter statement to change procedure. We are only allowed to change code, not parameters. Okay, it's not possible to change parameter types, not possible to change parameter numbers as well, which means it's a good practice that we drop procedure and recreate. Okay, clear everybody? We drop it, we recreate it, and then we transport it. That's the best way of processing, working with changes, change management. That's the best way. So now if I again execute, it will not work because procedure already exists. It gives me an error. Already है भैया, कहाँ से create करूँ? Duplicate हो जाएगा. Clear everyone? It won't allow me to recreate. Okay, it won't allow me. However, I can do an alter. Just replace create with alter. It will do the alter for you. So I want to put x plus y plus 20 or 30. Execute it. Altering is done. Okay, you can come back, execute it, and the same with the same value. When I execute it, 20 earlier result was something and now it's something else because it got altered. My recommendation, drop the procedure and recreate. To drop the procedure, you can use drop procedure command in the procedure name. So take the procedure name, come back to the SQL console, just drop the procedure, as simple as that. Just say drop procedure name, execute it. It got dropped. Now go back and just say create procedure, फिर से create कर देगा. You can come here on the right side screen, right click and refresh and see drop हुआ कि नहीं हुआ. It got dropped. You can recreate it, execute, got recreated, come back and just execute once again. So call statement. Sorry guys, let me do one thing. I'll just keep putting these statements into a notepad file and share it with you. Very important guys. I just put it drop procedure so that and just create procedure, and then we just say call procedure, and just procedure got recreated. Refresh here on the left total num. Please do develop in your own schema, guys. Don't touch ABAP schema, it will disturb everybody. अरे क्या हो गया, पैरामीटर नहीं पास किए. Okay, let's pass parameters. 10 20 question mark. Call sorry, not call procedure, just call, and that's it. Okay, so that's how you call a procedure. Let me just copy this guy and put it in the notepad. Drop and recreate, that's possible. So that's your code for first procedure. Let's go and do some more. So we are not writing procedures, guys, for fun. We're not writing it for A plus B. That's anybody can do. What we're writing the procedure is mainly for doing serious business. Okay, doing serious business. And what is that serious business? We're going to want to implement the complex business calculations inside of it. Okay, so suppose I want to now write a SQL statement and return some results out of my procedure. That's completely possible. Okay, now before that, there is a question here in the chat box. How can we see if there is a procedure which my developer told me a procedure name? How can I see which schema that procedure is into? Do I need to go open every schema and check all procedure? No, there is a database table called procedures in SAP HANA. You can say select star from procedures table. You can, but still you got to go to all schemas, na? वो नहीं करना चाहते हैं. That's very valid question. You can go to this DB table called procedures in SAP HANA, put where procedure name, like pattern search कर लो, यहाँ पे pattern डाल लो percentage. I want to search the one which has num inside, put it in capital letter. That's why I was telling you, put always in capital letter, because system converts it to the caps. Execute it. You can see all the procedures in system, and you see ours is this one. It belongs to Anubhav schema. Clear everybody? It belongs to Anubhav schema. यहाँ पे देख लो. Yeah, this is how you can find your procedure by searching into the database table called procedures. Okay, let's put that here. Good question, by the way. Okay, now I will add all these statements to PPT, don't worry, or I will upload this as a as a another file completely. Okay, let's take a break, guys. I really need a break. It was little powerful, so I need a break. So now let's look at some more imperative logic. I'm going to write an if condition to check if a given number is odd or even. Very first example which we start when we start learning programming. So let's write down an if condition syntax first of all. So what is the if condition syntax in SQL script? So what is the syntax for writing if condition in SQL script? Let's do that. So I just come back here. You got to write the condition. You can say if your condition, then you have to write something called then. Okay, if then, and then you can say also else and if, and end with semicolon. That's your if condition, guys, inside SQL script. Now let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to calculate, input a number and see if that number is odd or even. If it is odd, then print odd. If it is even, print even. Okay, so input will be a number, output will be a character. Okay, varchar we will use for outputting the data. Let's come back and I can just create another procedure. So I'm just going to reuse the template which we had created over here and say calculate eve OE. Calculate OE, odd even. X is an integer input, then we will put a Y as output, and I'm going to say result as varchar of 10. 10 character का output रहेगा. So let's come down and put an if condition here for that. So you can say if and just say mod function. In SQL script you can use mod function x comma 2 If the modulus of this is equals to 0, then we got to return the value as even. So let's create a local variable, declare res varchar of 10, and I say res is assignment to, it's an even number, else it's a res assignment to odd number. And then we have finally end space if member. And once this is done, we can just say result assignment operator and use my variable res for assigning the value. Save this. Oops. Just save this. Oops. Sorry, it's not save. Execute this. It will create the procedure. It got created. Calculate OE. Let's go to calculate OE. And now यहाँ पे call कर दो. Call OE. My procedure pass value 10 or maybe pass value question mark and again question mark. Two question marks. Execute it. बोलो भाई क्या पास करूं? Anybody? Your lucky number. Come on. Let's test. 11. Execute. Odd. 0 you want to pass? Let's pass 0. Even. 0 is even. Okay, good. Good to know. Let's pass 10. Okay, even. Clear everybody? Very simple if condition. Small examples makes you perfect in SQL script. You will be eligible to code real-time OIA scenario in SQL script. Believe me or not, you will be. These small examples makes you perfect in SQL script. I copy this code, come back over here, put it if condition example. Gonna also put the code to call that. Okay, and let me just put it in the PPT. In the PPT, let me put it, guys, so that you can relate it directly in the flow. Let me put it in the PPT. This is example for PPT. And the one which we did over here to calculate the whether procedure is available or not, that was here. And just go to insert one more slide over here and just go back and put this whole stuff of first procedure example. Okay, cool. That's your first procedure example. If condition. Next, looping. How do you do loop? So let's start with a while loop. What we want to do, we just want to do a loop, and let's say I want to write a while loop. So let's understand the syntax for while loop. What is while loop? It's a conditional looping. It is used conditional looping, guys. You can use while loop for conditional looping. So for example, I want to what is the syntax for while loop? You can say while and your condition, and then you can use here do and end while. In this you can write your code. That's your while loop. Now what I'm going to do is I want to input a number. Let's say 3. It should calculate 3 multiplied by 10 plus 2 multiplied by 10 plus 1 multiplied by 10. Okay, now you can see here, guys, actually we are calculating here a multiplication of 3 2 1. क्या repeat हो रहा है? It's a factorial, correct? क्या repeat हो रहा है? It's repeating this decrementing number, and everything multiplication with 10 is same. So such a repetitive task here where you're multiplying every number with 10 with a decrementing number, such repetitive task, if you write down the manual logic, it won't be so flexible. Rather than I want to make it flexible, suppose if I want 10, then it should 10 multiplied by 10 plus 9 multiplied by 10 plus 8 multiplied by 10 and so on. So such repetitive tasks you can leave up to the loops. They are very important, very powerful. Let's gonna create a one to calculate factorial. So let's come back and I'll say calc fact. I'm just gonna pass an integer value as an input, and the result is going to be factorial of that number. So I can say big integer as a return. I just say result is a big int. Okay, that's my data type, big int, and I'm just going to calculate that using while loop. So let's do that. I'm just going to create a counter. Initially I can say counter equals to my input variable. Now guys, for input variable there is an exception. You can avoid using smiley symbol for input variables. There is an exception here. You can avoid using colon symbol for input variable. They can directly be consumed like this. Okay, here x is an input variable. Okay, you can avoid doing that. However, it's a good practice that you can put the colon x. That's a very good practice always. Okay, now coming back, this is a counter which is ready and initialized with the value. What I'm going to do now is this counter value I'm going to decrement and just keep multiplying by 10. So I can say while my counter is greater than 0, do this. कब तक करना है? जब तक काउंटर 0 से बड़ा है. And while, and now inside of this let's calculate the result. So my result is equals to result colon result plus the counter multiply by 10. As simple as that. हो गया ना factorial calculate. And then you got to also don't forget to reduce the counter, otherwise it will run into an infinite loop. Keep decrementing the counter by 1 after every loop pass. Final result will be producing and printing the factorial for you. Execute this. Oops, we have a problem. Incorrect syntax near equals to. We have to use this symbol everywhere. Assignment operator. And execute it. Again, there is a problem. Line number 9. Kahan hai bhaiya line number 9? This is the line number 9. I did a mistake. You see here while doing assignment, I used colon. Assignment should not use column at all. Funda Fox. Execute it. Got created. Congratulations with the first while loop. Let's take this gentleman and call this over here. Batao sir, kya calculate karu? Question mark, question mark. Come on, tell me a number for which you want to calculate factorial. Maybe 3. We know the result should be 60. Execute. Oops, it's null. Funda Fox, guys, very, very important. Funda Fox. Time for Funda Fox. Why? Why it's happening like this? What is a Funda Fox? When we create a integer variable, when we create a numeric variable, or when we create a variable, okay, forget about numeric, when we create a variable in SQL script and do not assign a default value to it, it gets assigned with null value, guys. And can anybody tell me, if I say x equals to x plus null, what will be the result? Anybody? What will be the result? X equal to x plus null. Kya ho jayega? It will be null. That's what is happening here. If you go back to our example, what is exactly happening? What we coded? We are created a variable called result. And this result variable, or in fact the counter variable, this is integer, but did we initialize any value in the counter? No, we did it here. That's okay. But the result variable also, did we initialize any value to result variable? No. What we are doing, result equal to result plus some value. So counter multiply by 10 will produce something. But what is the result here? It's null right now. Okay. It's null. So null plus counter multiply by 10 becomes null. So it keeps becoming null and it is null at the end. So let's initialize our variable results equal to 0. जब घुसोगे तो कर देना, सेव कर दो, execute कर दो. You got to alter the procedure. Execute. Oh, sorry. sorry, it's result only, not results. Execute, alter ho gaya. Now go back, execute again, and voila, you see factorial of 3 comes as 60. Clear everybody? What was the problem? When you use a variable and you don't initialize a value to the variable, system makes it null, and null plus null or null multiply null is null. Clear everybody? What mistake we were doing with the procedure? ये सब चीजें धीरे धीरे सीखोगे, जब मिस्टेक करोगे तो सीखोगे. The more mistakes you do, more learning you have, guys. More mistakes, more learning. Less mistakes, less learning. Let's see who does the maximum number of mistakes. Okay, who does the maximum? I promote people who do mistakes. Okay, come back. Now somebody is asking a question. Can you expand the table type folder? अभी कुछ नहीं है उसमें. If you go to that folder, table type, there's nothing into it. It's empty, guys, because we didn't create anything yet. I will explain you creating table types. Don't worry. However, you see 3 procedures which we created are available. Debugging possible? Absolutely possible. Why not possible? Just set up a breakpoint here. Double click. Okay, I'll show you quickly the debugging of this procedure, guys. How can you debug? Now remember, in SAP HANA, if you want to debug a procedure, you must have to debug using debug perspective in Eclipse. Point 1, you must have to also create a debug configuration. So let me show you. Go on the top and click here on debug configuration. Choose debug configuration. Come down and search for procedure. SAP HANA stored procedure, you see, and as a new configuration I want to define. Sometimes you may not see this guy also, so you got to right click and say new debug configuration, and I'll say debug from debug procedure, debug a procedure from local project. Browse this, sorry, not from this, browse the catalog schema, browse this, and now choose your schema. So now I'll just go to Anubhav schema, and I'll say my procedure folder. I want to debug the factorial wala view, sorry, factorial procedure, calcip fact. I selected that. Now go to input parameter, and you see it's showing me the input parameter which I supposed to pass to this procedure, and let me pass value as 3, and yeah, just debug everything. I want to say apply, and right now I don't want to debug. Before that I have to set the breakpoint. Now switch to debug perspective. So you can see on the top, guys, debug perspective in SAP HANA Studio or Eclipse. If you don't find that, you can just click on the nice button open perspective and choose here debug perspective. Click on open. Open it in a debug perspective, and now double click on the line where you want to start the debugging from. Okay, double click kar do us pe. I want to start from while loop. Double click on line number 8. You would see a tiny debugger will set up. अरे क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? Let me switch to HANA development once again. Switch, put a debugger here. Okay, it's not allowing me to put. Okay, I understood, guys. In console it won't allow. You have to open the procedure from here, double clicking the procedure. Double click on the procedure. Yeah, here it will allow. Okay, here you have to set now breakpoint. Line number 8, double click. You see it has set the breakpoint. Go to your debug perspective. You see the breakpoint is also visible here. Okay, and now just say debug and choose your debug configuration. Debug configuration, where is it? It's not available here. Go to debug configurations and select a debug configuration which you created with for this procedure with the input value 3, and say debug, and wait for a minute, not for a minute, about maybe few seconds, and you see now it's hitting my debugger, and I can step by step debug everything line by line. Okay, so currently line by line debugging is not supported here. It's only the debugger point you have to set everywhere, and just press F8, F8, F8. So all these breakpoints will hit. Currently F6 and F5 not possible in HANA Studio currently. Okay, so you can just do F8, set up multiple breakpoints and do F8. So F8, now you can see F8, and now on the top you see all the variables. So you see these variables here. Currently the result value is 0. You see it's 0 here. You see 0, and now just say F8. Now you see first value have come as 30. Abhi chalne do. F8, F8. Now you see it's currently 30. Again executes, it becomes 50. अगेन चलने दो F8 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 F8, ये देखो 60 हो गया. Clear how to debug in SAP HANA Studio your procedures? Okay, very important guys. If you developing in SAP above one schema, you will not be able to debug because we don't give you permission to debug in SAP above one schema guys. So please do create your procedures in your own schema. You will be allowed to do debugging and everything on your own in your schemas if you're doing your development in your own schemas. Okay, so don't develop in somewhere else, just develop it in your own schemas. Okay, coming back to question. So can use procedure created from another schema also? Yes, it's possible to use procedures from another schema for debugging, Bhaskar, completely possible. Is system create any design time object for this procedure? How to transport? You can transport, it's already part of your schema. That's a tricky point. You got to create, for transporting purpose, you got to create it in using SAP HANA native application environment. You have to create an access project. So let me quickly show you. I have created an access project here. Okay, in this I have created a procedure folder, and then I've created a design time object for my procedure. And when I run this, when I activate this procedure, it creates an underlying runtime object. And this is when I transport, because it's part of a package, procedure package. When I transport the package via the delivery unit, it gets created in quality in production. However, important point to note, in ABAP on HANA, we don't create procedures like this. Okay, it's typically created as AMDP. Now to learn AMDP concept, we have to first learn SQL scripting. That's why I'm teaching you these procedure things. Clear everybody? So we actually don't create, the way we create is little different. We don't create the way we are creating, but understand here the essence of SQL scripting, understand the technology of SQL scripting. That's more important for you right now rather than looking at transport part and other stuff. Okay, so don't look at that part right now. Focus on SQL script at this moment. Don't focus on transport at the moment. Can one procedure can call another procedure inside begin? Absolutely, it's possible. You can definitely do that. Suppose I want to call my another procedure inside calcifact. So let's go back. क्या बनाया था और total num बनाया था, right? So I want to now pass two values x and y. I want to total them up, and जो total आएगा उसका factorial करना है. Okay, so let's first do that. So I'm just going to go back and I will call my total procedure. So you can just come here and take this guy, sorry, come here, and I guess this is the one, calcifact. I can say alter, and अभी मैं वो call कर रहा हूँ. I can say call and call my, put my schema name is anyways hard coded here, Anubhav. So system will go and search this procedure in Anubhav schema. Just put your procedure name, and the procedure name is total num. It receives two input parameters. The first input parameter is, let's say, pass this x value. Second, I pass 1. It's going to again total up a lot of things. And then finally the output which it produces, I'm going to take that output into my counter, guys. Okay, so that's my counter variable as an output, and that's it. That's it, guys. Execute it. Got altered. Let's execute this guy. And I'm just going to go back and execute it, and just pass value as 1, execute, and you see 5280 have come because it's summing up 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 60. So 61 का factorial इसने calculate किया है, because your HANA procedure total num we are actually doing something plus 60 or plus 30. Yeah, it's 30. So whatever values you are passing, that is getting added with 30, and उसका factorial calculate हो रहा है. Clear everybody how to call procedure in another procedure? Is that clear? Completely possible. Let's do that. Now put that in the PPT. So this one here, declare counter while loop, we are done, and I just call one procedure in another. Okay, great. So that's how we do it. Next loop is for loop. Okay, for loop is actually Fixed loop where you can exactly tell how many times you want to count. So next is for loop. Syntax for for loop is for, and then you got to use your index variable. Or sorry guys. Yeah, you got to use your index variable, and then you got to start saying that you got to start with the starting index. So start index from where you want to start dot dot end index, and then you just say do, and then say end for. Yeah, that's my for loop. How we can write a for loop. Let's go and experience some example for loop. Suppose I want to create a database table, and I want to then insert like 10 records in that database table automatically. Okay, let's do that. So I'll just go back to procedure creation. So I say create procedure, and I say pump employee. So I'm going to design a complete database table, and in that database table I'm going to receive a parameter called x integer, and whatever is x passed, those many records gets created in that db table. Okay, so let's create that db table over here. So I say create table employee parenthesis, and I'm going to write down the column employee id as integer, comma employee name as varchar of 80 character, and I can say employee salary is integer again, comma, and then I can specify primary key of the table, and then I can put employee id. That's my primary key. It's case insensitive. The table gets created now in SQL script. It cannot be a read-only procedure. You see, I will try to activate, it will give me an error because I'm putting reads SQL data, which indicates that it's a read-only procedure, but now I'm doing a DEL inside, which is not allowed. I'll show you that in a minute. And now I'll say for loop, and I can say forgot to declare I integer equals to 0, I in 0 to, or let's say I want to start with 1 to 1 से लेके x तक loop कर दो. Okay, do and for. Now inside of this, let's do some fun. Insert into my db table emp, and then I'm going to insert the record. So I'm going to first pass my employee number I itself, and then I'm going to pass employee concatenate with integer. So this is concatenation with integer. Then I'm going to pass salary I multiply by 1000. That's my third column value. तीनों column का value pass कर दिया. It will insert whatever x you pass, those many records will get inserted into the employee table. Clear everybody? We're done. Let's activate this procedure, and now say I press F8. What will happen? Give me an error, because it's very simple. F8, you see incorrect syntax near employee. Okay, first of all, there's a syntax error. Line number 8, insert into employee. Okay, I've done a mistake. It's values. Now I just F8. You see, feature not supported. DDL are not supported in read-only procedure. Clear everybody? What I taught you, the syntax. What is the problem? What is the problem? Anybody, can you tell me how to fix this up? Anybody? Those who are paying attention to my class today, you will be easily able to tell me the solution of this problem. What is that wrong? Yes, removes reads SQL data. This you remove it. It's not a read-only procedure. Okay, just remove that. Execute. Voila, got created. Congratulations. Let's pump it up. It will create an employee table. Let me just go to schema Anubhav and show you tables. There's no table yet in Anubhav schema. Okay, now watch out guys, magic happens here. Let's come back, call the procedure, and I'm gonna pump in the value. Kitna record banao? Batao. Tell me the table you want to create. How many records you want to insert? 5? Arey thoda badhao sir. Let's make 15. Okay, execute it. Boom. Let's come back, right click on the tables, refresh the tables. Voila, an employee table got created programmatically, and insert. Let's do a content open, and boom, wow, superb. You see 15 records got injected in this table. सबका salary 1000 से start होता है 15000 तक जाता है. Employee ID itself is unique. Clear everybody how to do this exercise. How did we created a table? Loop से insert किया मैंने records. Now what will happen if I call this procedure once again? Anybody? What will happen if I call this procedure once again? Anybody? What will happen when you call this? It will try to recreate the table, isn't it? It will dump. Let's execute once again. Execute, and you see cannot use duplicate table name. अनुभव employee table already exist boss. वे कैसे बनाऊं मैं वापिस? टेबल तो ऑलरेडी है सिस्टम में. Now that's an exercise for all of you. Fix this issue up. That's an exercise. No, if you drop the table, data records will go away. So I'll tell you exactly. For loop in about. So exercise guys, exercise. Let's talk about exercise now. Okay. First time it creates and insert record. Next time I want to just insert record. Do not want to recreate or drop table. Any guess how do you solve this problem? Any intelligent mind working behind this exercise by now? Have you any thought? How do you what do you do? Yes. ABAP में कैसे करोगे? Think about it. How do you do in ABAP? If I ask you to do it in ABAP, how do you do it? What would you do in ABAP? Just think in that direction. जो चीज ABAP में कर सकते हो यहाँ भी कर सकते हो guys. You got to check if the table exists. What do you do in ABAP to check the table exists or not? Similarly, here you can do that. I am just going to give you hint. Rest all you got to do Google and find out. Just check if table exists. If no, create. If yes, just insert. With that, it's a wrap on today's class. Hope you enjoyed today's class. Very basics of SQL script. We'll have more deep dive inside SQL script in tomorrow's class. Time for all your questions. Please shoot up. When to use variable types of integer data types? Integers. Okay, whenever you need integer, just use integer data types. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, so you can check also the size, how much capacity this tiny integer or a big integer has. That's something you can check in SQL script guide. I've already shared you the link. You can download that guide and check the maximum value the integer, tiny integer, big integer takes it. I honestly don't remember what is the maximum value it takes. That you got to check it in the guide. Any other questions, anybody? Before we close today's class, can we use this procedure in ABAP in the case of required? Absolutely, इसीलिए तो कर रहे हैं sir. ABAP में use करेंगे. We got to use this in ABAP later point of time. We are not doing SQL script for fun or just to waste time. We actually going to consume SQL script in ABAP system. I will show you that we have some multiple concepts to do so. We will look at it in upcoming days, how to consume this, such a SQL script procedure. Just the way you consumed HANA models in ABAP, similarly, we will consume SQL script procedure also in ABAP. Okay, don't worry, it's part of our course. Can you please add URL of SQL scripting online help as well? Already added. You can check that in the slide over here. I've already added that. Just show you that. Here it is. You see, here it is. Okay, it's already there. Okay, can we use select option kind of input here? Not really, you can't do so. However, whatever is select option, you got to parse in above and you got to pass that value to here actually. Okay, can't really do that. Select options is an above data type range of data type, cannot be used over here. Okay, can we use standard function module? Function module, guys, is an above concept. You are working right now with database. Database में function module नहीं होता है. Database only understands SQL script procedures. It doesn't understand what is a function module. Okay, so you're talking to DB at this level, not talking to something else. Clear? Copy the code to notepad as well. Okay, there's nothing in notepad now. I have copied everything to PPT, guys, just to keep the flow same. I've copied everything to PPT. Okay, with that, it's a wrap on today's class. See you tomorrow at the same time. One important announcement from my side to make, guys. I will be on vacation next week completely. So there's no classes for next 2 weekends. 20, 21st, 27, 28, no classes. We will meet in June next. Tomorrow we have a class. After that, you guys can go back, refresh everything. We are already completed about 60% of our course by tomorrow, 60, 70. So you can refresh everything. We don't have any class coming next 2 weekends. Only tomorrow, after tomorrow's class, no class on coming weekends, at least in the by the end of this month. We have our next class planned on 3rd of June, evening 7 p.m. India time. So utilize this time. You have ample things to follow up, and accordingly you can design up the things. Okay, you have ample amount of time to practice up the things. Unfortunately could not plan any vacation since last 2.5 years, and this time I got really leaves approved and really things went so well into right direction. So I planned for 1 week vacation for myself, to spend time for my time with myself, and that's the reason I have planned for a leave. Okay, second, we will start on second and third. We have a classes going on. 2nd of June will start actually. Second, I'll be back. Okay, so just to pre-update everybody, so you guys also accordingly plan things up. I really need a break, guys. It's getting so hectic for me. Need to come out, take a break, and come back again with full fledged. Okay, that's an update from my side. I will also cancel the appointments and invitations during that time, so you will not be disturbed with that. Can we use loop statement in secret? Every single code you're learning here can be used in scripted calculation view. Scripted calculation view is not something out of the box, something else. It is actually a SQL script. Scripted calculation view is a SQL script. Okay, so you can use every single bit of it what we will learn in upcoming days in scripted calculation views as well. Okay, okay, Satyajit. Yeah, you can use it. With that, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Please try this exercise. I hope to see some solutions coming out of you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.